Let's try some spicy jelly beans.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's your pal Bobby here, and today I'm going to go over something that was sent to me in the form of jelly beans, but the catch here is that they are spicy jelly beans. So I thought something that would be interesting to try would be to go through each of the flavors that we have here and see how much I can tolerate. I'm not much into spicy things, but I definitely like some spice. So I thought it would be interesting to find out if I could make it to the end of the scale, so to speak. So basically what comes in this package of Boozled jelly beans is a Sriracha flavored one, a Jalapeno flavored one, Cayenne, Habanero, and last but not least, a Carolina Reaper flavored jelly bean. I gotta say that Carolina Reaper has a bad reputation as far as my understanding is concerned, and habanero is pretty darn hot too, from my own personal experience. So, good to know that this was made in a peanut-free factory, in case you're curious. And the box itself is kind of amusing. It gives some sort of indication that you can play a little spinner game here to, I guess, try your luck at how spicy you're going to get of the bean that's selected. And it also says not intended for children under the age of 13. That makes sense because I think with some of these jelly beans on the higher end of the scale, you really don't want to mess around. So I'm not sure how good of an idea this is for myself, but I'm going to try it. And I think how we're going to handle this is I'm going to try to identify each of the flavors and give them a shot. So let's see. We'll open up the box here, and I'll see if I can identify each 5 flavors. Okay, so here we are. I've taken the plastic off of the box, and I just thought that we would open it up here and see what all is included. So, of course, you have the spinner artwork here. It looks very hot. This guy's having a tough time. So, let's see here. We have... Okay, on the inside of the box, it's actually interesting. It gives you a few tips, and again, gives you the scale. There's even an app to download if you're so inclined. Don't think that I'm going to go that far, but they really have gone all out here. Here is some piece of recyclable plastic. I think this box got a little upended, but we can see here is the... I carefully get this out to the spinner. So the intention here would be, oh dang, I got the cayenne pepper spinner. I think this leaves a little to be desired, but that's okay. And of course we have all of the jelly beans here, so I'm just going to, headphones warning probably, dump these onto the plate. And just making sure there's nothing else. Yep, that's all there is in the box. And based on our Fiery 5 scale, I'm looking out for basically one of each color, but some of them are a little similar, so it gives a good amount in the box. And I think I'm going to try my best to pick out the 5 flavors just as we see it here on this scale, and we'll try them one by one. Okay, folks, I believe to have sorted out the 5 flavors here, and if we take a quick look at our handy chart, of course, we have the Sriracha one first. Next up is the Jalapeno. In the middle there is the Cayenne pepper. The orange one is Habanero, and the the light red guy on the end is the Carolina Reaper. So, based on this scale that we're looking at, the Sriracha jelly bean is supposed to be the least heat, the least hot. So I guess that's where we're going to start. So I'm just going to take the Sriracha jelly bean. Here we have it here. Doesn't look too unassuming. Gonna give it a smell. Doesn't smell like anything. Everything's most likely, hopefully the focus is okay, but everything is encapsulated in the bean. So even if you were bamboozling someone or bean boozling one of your friends, they really wouldn't be able to tell ahead of time that this was something spicy. So in my own personal life, of course, I often use sriracha sauce. I think it's on the hotter side of probably the grocery store hot sauces that I've come across. There's certainly a lot more out there that are a little less spicy, but all in all, I'm able to handle sriracha just fine. So I think I'm gonna chew this one up, and well, I'll let you know how it goes. So here we go. Okay, I just have the bean in my mouth without biting yet. Trying to see if there's any heat that comes off before actually biting into it. So far, I can taste a little bit of pepper, but it tastes sweet. So I'm gonna give it a chew now. Okay, the heat hits pretty quick. About 2 chews in, and the heat was already spread throughout my mouth on my tongue. It definitely tastes like peppers, like a hot pepper. It doesn't really taste like sriracha sauce. Still giving it a chew. It's definitely hot. I have probably ingested about half of the bean, and I can already feel the heat in my stomach. But just going to give it a few seconds here to see if it kicks in any hotter than it is. Yeah, I realize one jelly bean is not necessarily a lot of heat, but that one was fine. It's definitely spicy. If you gave this to someone, they would definitely know it was supposed to be a hot jelly bean. I'm not in any kind of pain. The flavor was there. It actually tasted kind of like what came to my mind was like a green hot pepper. I'm not sure what kind of peppers usually go into sriracha sauce, but yeah, I think that one was fine. A little bit of spice, I can still feel it. I don't think anything's going to sneak up on me. So that one was no problem. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I am back approximately 24 hours later, and I have a few notes about the sriracha jelly bean. The pepper flavor in my mouth lasted maybe about a half hour. It wasn't unpleasant, and it wasn't too spicy. It just tasted like pepper. That really lingered. The heat also lingered in my stomach for maybe about a half hour or so. It's maybe was a little uncomfortable, or I thought it was going to be, but then it basically turned out okay. So, the sriracha jelly bean, all in all, was, again, no problem. And that leaves us, of course, to the next jelly bean, which is the jalapeno jelly bean. And we can see that it's a speckled green bean. And I'm going to give it a smell test again. I don't imagine that any of these will really smell. And this one is the same. Everything appears to be encapsulated inside the bean. So I'll do the same thing as the last bean and first see how it tastes without biting into it. You always get the sweet, kind of sugary taste of a jelly bean when you do this at first. A little bit of spice as well. Where the bean's touching my tongue, I can feel it be a little spicy. It tastes like a jalapeno pepper. Like if you ever had a jalapeno popper, it's that same kind of pepper taste. But so far, not too spicy without biting into it. But now, of course, we're going to give it a chomp. Chewing a little bit. I feel like the heat is coming on a little slower than the sriracha bean, but it might be a little hotter. Yeah, it's flavorful. Maybe a little more spicy than flavorful, whereas the opposite was true about sriracha. I've just about chewed up the bean in full. My mouth is definitely experiencing spice. It's kind of a more evenly coated spice than the last bean. It's even kind of hitting the back of my throat a little bit, which the previous bean did not. But I've now swallowed the contents, and yeah, I think this one should be all right as well. Definitely spicier than the Sriracha, but maybe not by much. Yeah, I'm just kind of giving it a few seconds to see if anything steamrolls me after the fact, but yeah, I think this one's going to be very similar. I can feel it in my stomach being a little hot, and my mouth is a little hot, but it's not a painful sensation. So yeah, I think that one was, again, no problem. I'll probably come back in another approximate 24 hours and give you some post-mortem notes on the jelly bean jalapeno flavor. And then we'll be trying the cayenne pepper next. So I'll be back. Alrighty, folks, we're back approximately 24 hours later after consuming the jalapeno jelly bean. And I must say that the post-mortem notes are very similar to the Sriracha bean in the sense that the heat stuck around maybe about a half hour in my stomach, and I had the taste of pepper, jalapeno pepper, on my tongue for maybe about the same amount of time. But the heat in my mouth quickly subsided, and the overall verdict is that the jalapeno jelly bean was no problem at all. So, of course, that brings us to the next one without delay, the cayenne pepper jelly bean. Little speckled light red over a dark red. Same thing as usual. Giving it a smell. I don't necessarily smell anything. I don't think I will for any of these. So we're just going to pop it in my mouth, and before I bite down, see what happens. Here we go. Okay. I can feel the heat wherever the bean is touching the inside of my mouth. It almost reminded me of a cinnamon type of burn, truthfully. Doesn't taste like cinnamon, but almost burns like cinnamon. And I'm not sure if that makes any sense, but without even biting it here, it's pretty spicy. I can feel the spice for sure. And I'm only now starting to taste the pepper, quite a ways into it. So I think the only thing to do now would be to chomp down. Very interesting taste. It's almost difficult to describe. It's hot. The heat is not spreading out in my mouth as much as the jalapeno, but it's definitely hitting the back of my throat about just as hard. I wish I could find the words to describe the taste. It's a unique taste. I'm not sure I've ever tasted a cayenne pepper before. As I'm chewing it up here, of course, it's spicy. But I don't think it's anything too crazy. So let me just sit here for a moment. My tongue is burning, but it's not like I'm not in pain, I guess you could say. I feel the sensation, and there's a little bit of pain to it, but it's very tolerable. It's nothing dire, nothing urgent. Same thing now, we're moving to the heat is in my stomach, probably just as much as it's in my mouth. But, if I ate a whole handful of those, I think it would be pretty hot. But one seems okay. It's definitely the spiciest so far. But, yeah, I don't think I'm going to have any problems with that. My mouth is probably going to be hot for maybe 10 minutes or so, but pretty good. We're getting up there, folks. We only have 2 more to go. Of course, the Habanero is the orange one, and the Carolina Reaper, which I'm not looking forward to. So let's see. 2 more down. Rather, 3 down, 2 more to go. I'll be back. All right, folks, we are back approximately 24 hours later after eating the cayenne pepper jelly bean. And quick notes, basically the spice on my tongue and the heat in my stomach lasted the longest out of the three so far, but as an incremental bean approach of heat, that makes perfect sense. But overall, it was still no problem. The cayenne pepper was a little spicy. If I ate a handful of them, I think it probably would be a bad idea, but as is was fine. And of course, that brings us to the next lovely looking jelly bean here, the most orange of the bunch, the habanero. Sniff test, same thing. Don't really smell anything, so we're just going to put it in my mouth, and I expect that wherever the bean lands on my tongue and the inside of my cheeks, that's where the spice is going to hit, but let's see. Okay, it's definitely stinging my tongue right away. It's coming on a little slowly. I think the cayenne pepper hit a little harder, quicker, but I feel like this one's going to be a creeping effect. There's definitely the most amount of sting on my tongue just from having the bean be present there out of the four so far. But it's okay. Without chomping on it, it's okay. So I think obviously the next thing we're going to do is take a bite. Taking several bites. Okay. Definitely hotter than the cayenne pepper. My mouth is pretty instantly feeling the heat. It has that same unique pepper taste that the cayenne pepper had. I can't explain the taste exactly. It almost is like a burnt kind of taste, but it's hard to describe. I'm still chewing up the bean. Okay, I've now swallowed the bean. My mouth is definitely hot, hotter than it's been. I might be sweating on my face a little bit from that. I'm not sure. I'm wearing a winter hat for some reason, so maybe it's just that. But yeah, okay, not so bad. I mean, definitely hot. The hottest of the four. Same thing where if you ate a handful of them, I think you'd probably regret it, but just one. It's pretty spicy, but yeah, I think I'm going to survive. My stomach's going to feel the heat for probably the next half hour or so. My tongue probably for another 15, 20 minutes, but not too shabby. So, of course, that's last but not least. Rather, what is last but not least is the Carolina Reaper jelly bean, which I imagine will be the hottest of them all. And I'll be back in approximately 24 hours to give it a go. Alrighty, folks, we have returned approximately 24 hours later, and we are going to try the very last spicy jelly bean here. Of course, this one, as I've been talking about all along, is the California Reaper jelly bean. And I've often seen a lot of people eat California Reaper flavored things, and it doesn't bode so well. So I'm not sure how hot this one is exactly going to get. But it's just a single jelly bean, so I think that will survive. So without further ado, here we go, the same smell test. Never smelt any heat from any of these. That was the universal truth for all 5 beans. I expect the bean pre-chomp to be pretty darn spicy wherever it lands in my mouth, so let's see. I'm going to give it a go. Okay, nothing yet. Okay, it's slowly building up now. I haven't chomped. It doesn't burn geographically like the others have. I'm kind of bouncing the bean around my mouth. It's starting to slowly spread. I gotta say, this feels like it's going to creep up on me. I think habanero was similar. I think this is as spicy as it's going to get without chewing it, so I think I'm ready to take a chomp. That same weird burnt pepper taste, which might be just the way the jelly bean tastes. I'm chewing the bean. It's getting spicy. Interesting. So far, I would say the habanero is hotter, but I have a feeling this is still going to creep up on me. All right, it's creeping. It's getting hotter for sure. I've swallowed most of the bean. Some of it's stuck in my teeth. My tongue is burning somewhat. It's getting towards the point of painful. My stomach definitely feels the heat already. But, yeah, I mean, it's hot. But I think it's manageable. My tongue is still burning for sure. It's getting to the point of uncomfortable. But I would have to say that the worst is probably over with. It's definitely going to land in my stomach for a little while. But yeah, that was okay as well. I mean, I definitely feel the heat in my stomach, like I've been saying, but my tongue is okay. I almost feel like the habanero was a little hotter on the tongue. So here I've been dreading the Carolina Reaper, and it's definitely hot. And I'm not going to go bite an actual Carolina Reaper pepper now all of a sudden. But that was very manageable, so not so bad. I think we're going to try one more scenario here, so I'll be back.
Bing, 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 bing.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have returned, and since I was able to pretty coherently consume all 5 spice level of beans one at a time, I thought the least I could do is try to actually get something too spicy in my mouth here. So what I have here is, I believe, it was actually tough to distinguish, but I believe to have 4 or 5 Carolina Reaper jelly beans. This one may or may not be a Sriracha bean. It's tough to tell. There's a little speckle there, but that's supposed to mean Carolina Reaper. And of course, I have the 5 habanero ones next to it that are obviously very easy to spot. They're the only orange ones. So in an effort to try to get something too spicy, I'm going to consume all 10 of these jelly beans at once. And, well, let's just do it and see what's going to happen. I imagine that my stomach won't really like this very much. And I'm not sure how my mouth will take it, but I'm just going to do it, and I'm going to chew and chomp, and hey, if anything is going to be too spicy out of this box of jelly beans, hopefully this will be it. Here we go. Beans are in my mouth. I'm chewing right away. There's that weird burnt taste again. It's not really a good taste. It's just weird. The spice is coming on. The jelly beans are getting stuck in my teeth. Okay. We're at the point where my mouth is too hot. My stomach can feel the heat. It's hitting the back of my throat pretty hard. Kind of like the back of your sweatshirt and the top of your head starts to kind of feel a little strange. Like your head is getting too hot and it might start sweating. Still chewing, of course. You can most assuredly hear that. Okay, I have swallowed most of the beans. My tongue is very hot. My stomach is very hot. My upper lip and my face is sweating a little bit. Based on that, I'm gonna get a little bit out of my teeth and keep chewing. Okay. At the moment, it's hotter in my stomach than it is on my tongue. But the more that I talk, actually, the hotter it's getting on my tongue. I'm salivating a little bit. Okay. I'm definitely sweating. My face is starting to sweat a little bit. My stomach was definitely noticing that I just ate 10 spicy jelly beans. My mouth is still very hot. It almost seems as if oxygen in my mouth is helping it feel hot. When I talk, it feels hotter, but if I keep my mouth closed, it's almost tolerable. I'm not having trouble breathing, but my body wants me to take purposeful breaths here. I truly don't believe I'm doing anything dangerous. That's why I've done it in the first place. So I don't think I'm in any danger. Okay. Well, I mean, my tongue hurts if I kind of press it up against my teeth. It kind of makes me salivate a little bit. The top of my head and like the back of my head feels strange, like it wants to produce sweat. But I'm okay. My stomach for sure feels most of it. So, all right, even though I had 10 jelly beans, I think that the prediction is going to be the same, where my stomach is probably going to feel the heat for probably a half hour or so, but maybe even more. And my tongue, of course, too, will be feeling this for maybe about 15, 20 minutes. It's still very spicy. It's definitely the spiciest of the video, of course, obviously, since I ate 10 of them. But yeah, so basically, to summarize, if you are a fan of spicy things, and you're a fan of jelly beans, I'm still salivating. Nose is starting to run a little bit, actually, as well. This is definitely up your alley. I mean, none of these things were hot to the point of dangerous or extremely painful. I'm sure if you ate the entire box at the same time, that would be a different story. I'm not going to do that. But yeah, I mean, if you want to play the spinner game with your friends, and maybe some of your friends are not that good at spice, this would be a fun game to try and kind of just get your friends worked up a little bit. But yeah, so thank you for joining me. I think that our challenge is finished here. My stomach is still going to feel the burn, but I think I'll survive. So thank you for joining me. I'm Bobby, of course, here on the Compromised Culinary Channel, and we'll see you next time.